I'm going to walk through the STEELWATER AMSWFB 450 safe the way I would if I were standing in my own garage, trying to decide whether this is the lockbox that actually protects my firearms and gives me peace of mind, or just another piece of metal that looks good on the shelf. I know how easy it is to get caught up in flashy marketing claims, 2-hour fire rating, drill-resistant bolts, and then end up with a safe that either costs more than you need or falls short when the real test comes. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. What matters most is how the safe fits into your everyday routine, how it handles the worst-case scenarios you worry about, and whether the price matches the protection you actually get. First, let's talk about the main worry most buyers have. Will this safe survive a house fire long enough for me to retrieve my guns? A 2-hour fire rating at 1850 F is impressive on paper, but in practice it means the internal temperature should stay below the auto-ignition point of most ammunition for at least that window. If you live in an area prone to wildfires or older wiring that could spark, that rating translates into a real advantage. You're not just hoping the safe holds up, you have a defined time buffer to get out and stay safe. For a family with kids, that also means the safe's interior stays cool enough that a child who accidentally opens it won't be met with scorching metal. The second big hesitation is burglary resistance. Many first-time buyers assume any steel box will stop a thief, but a determined intruder can bring a drill, a hammer, or even a bolt cutter. The STEELWATER model includes chrome-plated active locking bolts and a glass relocker designed to foil drill and punch attacks. In everyday terms, those bolts extend into the door frame and lock in place the moment you engage the lock, making it harder for a tool to pry the door open without destroying the bolts themselves. If you've ever watched a TV segment where a thief simply bangs a safe open with a crowbar, you'll understand why this extra layer matters. It's not a guarantee against a professional safe-cracking crew, but for the typical home burglary scenario, it's a solid deterrent. Now, let's picture the daily interaction. You pull the safe out of the corner of the garage, open the latch, and slide in a few rifles, a pistol, and a couple of boxes of ammunition. The interior is a single, open compartment with enough height to accommodate most standard-size rifles without them leaning against the door. That design makes loading and unloading quick, which is a real benefit for someone who practices regularly at the range and needs to get in and out without fumbling. However, the lack of separate shelves or a built-in organizer means you'll have to improvise if you want to keep accessories like optics or spare magazines separate. For a minimalist shooter who stores just the guns and ammo, that's fine, but if you're the type who wants a tidy, compartmentalized layout, you'll need to add your own dividers. One practical weakness that shows up after the first few weeks is the weight. The steel construction and the fire rating insulation add up to a safe that tips the scale at around 120 pounds. It's not impossible to move, but you'll likely need a dolly or at least 2 strong hands to relocate it. If you're renting a place and might have to move on short notice, that could become a logistical headache. On the flip side, the heft also contributes to its burglary resistance. There's no simple way to lift it and walk away with it. The lock itself is a mechanical keypad, which many people appreciate for its reliability. No batteries to die, no Bluetooth to lose connection. Once you set your code, you have a clear, tactile feedback when the lock engages. Some users report that the keypad can be a bit stiff after prolonged use, but it never feels unresponsive, and the lack of electronics means you're not worried about a software glitch during an emergency. If you prefer biometric or RFID options, you'll have to look elsewhere, but for a straightforward, low-maintenance solution this is a practical choice. Let's talk about the audience that will benefit most. If you're a homeowner with a modest collection, say, a couple of rifles, a handgun, and some ammo, and you live in a region where fire risk and home intrusion are genuine concerns, the STEELWATER AMSWFB 450 checks the essential boxes. Its fire rating gives you a measurable safety window, the locking bolts give you confidence against a typical break-in, and the simple keypad keeps daily access uncomplicated. It also makes sense for people who want a single, large compartment rather than a multi-drawer system. The open interior reduces the chance of jammed locks caused by overstuffed compartments. Who should walk away? First, anyone who expects a safe that can hide in a closet and be lifted out with one hand. The size about 4 feet tall and 20 inches wide means you need a dedicated spot, usually on the